Hey friends, it's me, Em again, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things sinister. If you are interested in true crime or if you like all things horror related, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. That way you can join me for some morbid conversation. Now, for today's story, we are going to be doing another 5 pictures with the disturbing or sinister backstories. And part of the reason why I have been doing these more frequently here lately is it's just quicker for me to get consistent content out to you guys if I throw these in here periodically. The deep dives, the longer in-depth stories, they take me more time to research, more time to edit, more time to film, and these I can do so much quicker. So in effort to keep the content flowing, these are just going to keep coming periodically, and it seems like people really enjoy them as well. So with that being said, that's what we are going to be doing today. So let's get to our first picture. So the first picture in our lineup today is the 1974 Green Bay Packers draft pick. And the man who is circled in this picture is Randall Woodfield. Now, Randall Woodfield had been the Vikings' lead receiver beforehand. He had a great talent with the sport, but despite this, he ended up getting cut from the team before really making much of an impact with the Packers because of having a series of arrests regarding indecent exposure. If only it had ended there. Instead, Woodfield will go on to commit several robberies and sexual assaults before escalating to murder. He committed these murders in Washington, Oregon, and California, in cities right along the I-5, which would earn him the nickname the I-5 Killer. Woodfield would be arrested in March of 1981 and would actually only end up getting convicted of one murder and one attempted murder that following June. Originally, he would be sentenced to life in prison plus an additional 90 years, but later charges would end up being added, landing him another additional 35 years. Now, like I said, he was only actually convicted of one murder and one attempted murder, but his DNA was found in connection with several other homicides. In fact, police think that he could very well be responsible for 40 additional killings. This bright and cheerful picture is a snapshot of several teenagers that are going to a summer camp that is hosted every year by the Norwegian Labour Party, which is a social democratic political party in Norway. Approximately 600 teenagers would be at this camp this particular summer. Anders Behring Breivik would end up dressing as a police officer and arriving at the island where the camp was held, not long after setting off a car bomb in Oslo next to the tower block that housed the office of the Prime Minister Jens Stoltenberg. The explosion would end up killing 8 people and injuring over 200. When Breivik arrived at the island, he would open fire at the camp, and the shooting would end up killing 77 additional people. The shooting would end up lasting about an hour and a half before police task force arrived and Breivik surrendered. This attack was the deadliest attack to happen in Norway since World War II. These attacks were considered to be an act of domestic terrorism that was carried out by a far-right extremist and xenophobic. Breivik would end up getting the maximum sentencing that was allowed by Norwegian law, which would be 21 years in prison, but every 5 years that sentence could be extended if he was considered to still be a threat to society, which could ultimately result in life in prison. Now, as a mom, there are few things that I find to be less intimidating or less sinister than a group of kids sitting at a playground and taking a rest. But that's what this picture is. It's just a group of young kids sitting on the sidelines of a playground. But the story behind this picture is truly heartbreaking. The boy in this photograph wearing the hat is Jim John Prokes, also known as Chemo, and he is the son of cult leader Jim Jones. And this playground is located in Guyana at the Jonestown Cult Compound. As we all know, it would be at this compound that the infamous Jonestown Massacre would occur on November 18th, 1978, where 909 people would die. Around one-third of those who died that day were minors. One survivor said that they started that day by giving the poison drink to the babies and to the children, which, combined with their smaller size, caused the poison to kill the children and babies quicker than it did the adults. This sent some parents into hysteria when they saw their actual children dying. Chemo was only one instance of over 300 children dying that day, and he was only 3 years old at the time of his death. Now, I know this picture looks a lot more sinister than the other pictures we've gone over, considering it has a woman who is tied up and gagged in it. But before we get into the story behind this picture, know that this photograph was taken consensually by this woman. She agreed to be tied up, she agreed to be gagged, and she agreed to be photographed. And she agreed to these things because she was a model. And she thought that she was posing for the cover of a crime magazine. And so that's why she is bound and gagged and photographed. However, this picture would not be in our list if all she was doing was posing for the cover of a magazine. In fact, this picture wasn't actually taken for a cover of the magazine, despite what the young model would think. This picture is one of several that would be taken by serial killer Harvey Glattman, whose MO would be to lure young women with the promise of using them as models for covers of criminal magazines, and he would get their consent to tie them up and photograph them. After getting their photographs, he would then pull out a gun to threaten them with and capture genuine fear in his next set of photographs. Afterwards, he would kill the women, again, taking even more photographs. Now, once Glattman did end up getting arrested after committing these crimes, in a morbid twist of fate, one of those true crime magazines did end up using Glattman's photographs for the cover of their magazine. So these women did appear on the cover of a true crime magazine. Unfortunately, it was after they had been murdered. What's interesting to note is that one day a young preteen boy picked up one of these magazines and thumbed through it and got excited by the story and by the pictures. And that young man was Dennis Rader, who we would know to grow up to be BTK. On August 23rd, 1973, Jan Erik Olsson would be out of prison, and he would use his freedom to travel to the Kreditbanken in Stockholm, Sweden, where he would attempt to rob the bank. And he would do this by opening fire on police officers, all the while holding 4 people hostage. Olsson had been committing armed robberies for quite some time at this point, so this was not his first attempt at robbery, but it was ultimately his most famous. This was the first criminal act in Sweden that would actually be televised on live TV. This hostage situation would continue over the course of several days, in which Olsson had demanded police bring his friend, Clark Olofsson, as well as cash, bulletproof vests, guns, helmets, and a getaway car. Despite threatening to kill the hostages when he talked to police and the Prime Minister on the phone, the hostages actually said that they felt safer with Olsson and worried it would be the police who would escalate the situation to the point of things getting dangerous. On August 28th, 5 days after the initial holdup, police would use tear gas, which would cause Olsson and his partner Olofsson to end up surrendering within the hour. Olafson would originally be sentenced for his participation in the crime, but was later acquitted as he hadn't actually helped Olson, but he tried to help the hostages. Olson would end up being sentenced to 10 years for the robbery, and after his release, he would continue on committing crimes, running from the police, and being arrested. So, the thing that made this particular situation and therefore this particular picture so interesting is that it was this hostage situation that gave rise to the term Stockholm Syndrome. And that's because, like I said earlier, the hostages felt safer with Olson than they did the actual police. And not only that, they actually sympathized with Olson during this ordeal. Now, academic interest would spawn from this and from these types of situation where Stockholm Syndrome would start to occur. All right, friends, that is it for me today. 5 pictures that we went through pretty quickly with interesting or morbid backstories. As I always say during these videos, or I try to always say during these videos, if you have a picture that fits the style of this video and I have not talked about it yet, my email is always going to be down in the description box down below. Also in the description box is my entire link tree. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that's going to be down in the description box. And it always is down in the description box. I am currently working on another deep dive, so that is going to be the next style of video that will come out to you. And I will give you a little bit of a warning or a tease, I guess, not a warning, but I actually have a couple M is for Morbid logo stickers that are going to be coming in within the next couple days, and I plan on doing a small giveaway for that, both on TikTok as well as on YouTube. And once I get the stickers in, I'll let you know the details on how to enter that giveaway if you would like to have a small little bit of merchandise with the M is for Morbid branding. All right, though, I think that is it. Friends, thank you for staying to the end of the video. If this is the kind of content that you're interested in and you are not subscribed yet, I don't know why you're not subscribed yet, but go ahead and do that right now. Make sure you like the videos. And if you want to be notified the next time I sit down right here for another morbid chat, make sure you turn on the post notification bell. And that way your phone will send you a notification the very second my videos post. So if you want to sit down here and chat with me right as soon as they're up and going, you know what to do. Until next time, though, friends, as I always say, stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you later, all right? Bye.